That wasn't exactly the warmest welcome. I'm guessing the Enclave Council isn't your biggest fan right now.
I mean, we did let the Surgeborn loose. Even if they should have stopped us from doing it, like Arik said.
A part of it is still on us.
I am worried they won't warm up. But in the meantime, all I can do is try to make amends.
Whatever the Council thinks of you, I'm glad you're trying to help them. I think they could really use it.
Yeah, they don't seem to be in great shape.
Nothing our daring point can't fix.
So, what were you speaking to the Eye about?
Nothing. I just... I don't want to talk about it.
I didn't mean to pry. I just wanted to make sure you're okay.
You want to know if I'm okay?
Yes?
Then how come no one is at all concerned with the fact we can't leave? This isn't my life. Traveling with the Weaver Band was supposed to be temporary. For me, at least. There are things I should get back to in Taza. And it's increasingly clear no one has any idea when I will. If ever. So no, I'm not okay.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea you were feeling this way. You're right.
I am?
The truth is, we don't know how or when we're getting out of here. But if you want to leave, we should have made that more of a priority. Or at least made you feel more heard. So we'll work on it. Promise.
Really? What's the catch?
No catch. Apprentice or full-time weaver, what's important to you is important to all of us.
I don't know what to say. But thanks.
Making yourself at home?
Yes. I've always wanted my own ruined fountain. I don't want to presume, but being here is a nice break from all the politics.
And the Eye is okay with that?
I convinced him I would be keeping an eye on you. Frankly, I think he's just glad to be rid of me. I ask the kind of questions that make him uncomfortable. You know, tough ones like, how? And why exactly?
Lucky for you, Aurea loves when people ask those questions. Welcome to the camp, Arik. We're glad to have you, and your insight on the Hearthsiders.
You still call us that?
Yeah, but it's more... bitter these days. Surge and all. Maybe together we can fix that.
Let's.
How are you settling in, Arik? Things going well?
Good. Yeah, they're fine.
Just good?
No, not really. Something's going on at the hold, and it's making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. The Eye publicly scorched you for opening up Asylum, and yet I've heard him telling the Spindle that this could be a good thing. Meanwhile, the runners are stretched paper thin keeping supplies moving, which, of course, leaves my people no time to deal with actual threats.
Sounds like you could use some help. What's the problem?
Really? Dancing winds, where to start? No, wait, I know. The Spitfires. A particularly aggressive group seems set on spreading through Denevron. In particular, they're building nests in some areas I was hoping to use as training grounds, but we had to pull out due to the risk.
Would the areas be safe if I took care of the nests?
Yes, though the nests are very durable. They will turn brittle if you get them cold enough.
Consider it done. Anything else?
Maybe an odd request. Could you ask Aurea if I could power the scry while you're tackling them?
Why not ask her yourself?
I feel like I have a lot to learn from Aurea and how she works with you. And it's strangely intimidating to admit that to her directly.
She is a force of nature. I get it. I'll ask.
Thanks again for offering to talk to Aurea for me. It's genuinely exciting to learn from someone new for once. Our community's pretty insular. It might sound callous, but I'm a little disappointed in the Hearthsiders.
They're in worse shape than any of us expected.
They've done so little to repair the wonders that surround them. How can a society once renowned for its genius become so far removed from their own innovations? It makes me question if they were ever as great as we all believe they were, or if it was just...
Some myth to keep Weavers going after the surge.
Exactly. Something for us to believe in, whether or not it was true.
There is probably a mix of truth and legend in our stories of the Enclave. Nothing's black and white. Isn't that always the case in history?
Yes, I suppose this could have been expected, but it's rare we have a chance to confront history in person like this. I'm just not sure what to think anymore.
The Hearthsiders look more traumatized than a beast of burden after a hurricane.
What? Why would you say that?
I would think someone who grew up in the wake of war would recognize the signs. Disorganized and unable to triage their own problems. They're overwhelmed. Suspicious of us despite our clear good intentions, suggesting paranoia. And while their leader is in deep denial of the very real crisis the Enclave is in, the others accept it. They've been stewing in turmoil for so long, it's become their new normal. And it's probably more comfortable for them than the prospect of change.
You're right. They do remind me of some veterans back in Carnhaven.
Saw it 1,000 times over while working in Udea. Aurea may not want to hear it, but these people are completely lost in their crisis.
What makes you say that?
Aurea has a case of hero worship when it comes to the Enclave. She can be blinded by it sometimes.
Huh.
It's not to say great things didn't happen here. But at the end of the day, the Hearthsiders aren't gods. They're fallible. Just like us. Bryn, I'm glad you're here. I need to talk to you.
What's going on? You look pretty tired.
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just... about those 90 Drake scales. I know Aurea said we don't need them, but she just doesn't understand. It's dangerous out here, you know? Especially now that these Surgeborn are loose. We need to be prepared for anything. It's just gnawing in the back of my head. Do you think you could do it?
Seriously, when's the last time you slept?
Kashar don't need as much sleep as Ashar or Casil.
But you need some sleep.
It's been a while. Maybe 10 days. Or a week. I'm fine.
You haven't told me why we need them. Or better yet, why we need 90.
We want the best gear and weapons, don't we?
So Sola asked for these?
Not exactly. They have other uses too.
I'm guessing Aurea doesn't know you want me to go Drake hunting. Do you really think it's a good idea for us to go behind her back?
It looks bad, but she just doesn't see what I'm seeing.
To be honest, I'm not sure I see it either.
Please, just trust me.
Kaz, you need to tell me what's really going on here. I want to help, but the Drake scales? The Weaver Band is okay. More than okay. We're in the best shape we've been in since we entered the Enclave, now that we've made contact with the Hearthsiders. Besides, the caravan is looking pretty full. It's not making sense.
You think I'm insane?
No, of course not.
Era's breath. I shouldn't have brought this up. Ugh. But you just don't understand. Everyone could die if I don't... It would be my fault.
Whatever this is, please just tell me what's going on.
No. I shouldn't have burdened you. Sorry, just go.
But Kaz...
I can't talk about this anymore.
Caspian is not okay. And I don't think bringing her more stuff is the answer. I'd better talk to Aurea. So, Aurea, what do you make of the Enclave Council?
Their living history. What they've seen, what knowledge they must have preserved. All this time, they've been here, holding down the fort. It's great you've offered to help the Axle and the Spindle. Just be careful you're not going over the Eye's head.
Honestly, I've seen his type before, and I don't trust him. He's slippery. We need to
respect the leader of the territory we're in, Bryn. He's led the Enclave during a crisis. The rules change. He knows more about the Surge, the Enclave, and arguably even magic. Because while we've been outcasts, he's been here, at the heart of our culture. It's something we need to respect.
I'll try.
Good.
Hi, Aurea. I am here on behalf of Arakim.
That's weirdly formal. Everything all right?
He finds you intimidating. Personally, I don't see it, but I thought I'd be extra polite for his sake.
He does. Good. What does he want?
He's wondering if he could power the scry while I run an errand for him. He's hoping you'll give him tips.
Happily. But feel free to tell him I was a bit scary, to keep him on his toes.
Hey, you all right?
Yes. There's something I should have told you, so I'll just come out and say it. I was born in the Enclave.
How is that possible?
Oh, luck or tragedy, depending on your perspective. Before I was born, my mother and father lived here happily for several years. But they decided it would be better if my mother raised me with my grandmother and great aunts for the first few months of my life. So she left with me when I was just a hatchling, with every intention to return.
But the surge happened.
The life I should have had was lost for good. Because of all this, I never knew my father. I don't even know his name.
Does your family have something to do with your attachment to the Enclave?
Being here has meant a lot in some ways. And in others, it's very different from what I expected. Meeting the Hearthsiders was a lifelong dream. But the circumstances of our encounter? Not what I'd envisioned.
Knowing now that this is your birthplace, I can see why that would be disheartening.
This was meant to be my home, after all.
Isn't it a little strange your mother never told you his name?
She was separated from him so suddenly. She had no chance to say goodbye. My mother is a strong woman, but whenever I asked about him as a child, she could only manage a few words before her face would crumble. She found it too painful to discuss, and I never wanted to pry.
But now?
I can't help but wish I knew who he was.
Is it common for Oberon hatchlings to be raised apart from their fathers?
No, but it is common for extended family to be involved in the raising of children. As you know, I come from a long line of weavers, many of whom traveled in caravans their entire lives. It was apparently quite a shock when my mother fell for a Hearthsider.
So your parents were looking for a compromise when it came to raising you?
Exactly. And I wouldn't trade my childhood on the road. My great-aunts and my grandmother made me who I am, after all.
Still, you missed out on your father. It's natural to wonder about him.
I suppose.
This is definitely A twist. I feel like you could have told me sooner.
I am sorry for that. You need to be able to trust me.
So why hide it?
Talking about difficult and private matters is not my strong suit. And frankly, I rarely see the point in dwelling on the past.
I guess you and your mother have that in common.
You might be right.
So, we're going to find out who your father was.
You would... help me?
Of course. Maybe Lane would have some ideas on where to start.
Actually, I had an idea myself. The spindle mentioned a statue of my mother. It's clear the Enclave commemorated their champions. I can't shake this feeling my father is among them.
You think there's a statue of your father?
I know it sounds strange, but the handful of times that my mother spoke of him, she described him as this great hero. Since she was one herself, is it so crazy to think she might have meant that literally?
Maybe not. I can scope out the statues in Upper Denevron for a resemblance, if that's what you want.
Good. And thank you.
Hey, Aurea. About Casmin.
I know. I'm worried too. So is the rest of the band. Let's talk at the archive, privately. I'll join you and Lane in a moment.
All right. Aurea, I'm curious. Why the sudden interest in finding out more about your father?
He was trapped in the Enclave my entire life. This is the first chance I actually have to find out who he was.
Right. But I guess what I mean is, you really never tried to find out more from your mother.
I always had this sense that it wasn't something she could discuss. There was a heaviness in the air when his name came up. She was in love with him. And then she lost him in this cataclysmic event that no one could have predicted.
That must have been unimaginably painful.
Yes. She wasn't a tragic figure, though. She carried it well. You'd never know she was in pain. And truthfully, I had such a good life with my mother and my grandmother. It wasn't like I felt he was missing.
Until now.
Until we arrived here, yes. Something about this place just makes it clear how much I've lost because of the surge.
Being here makes me wonder, if the surge hadn't happened, would I have been forced to leave home to become a weaver?
Most certainly not. You would have been a valued member of society, not an outcast. Did you have a good relationship with your mother?
I have a lot of respect for her. She's such a powerful leader. And I know she's not exactly happy with my life choices.
You're afraid you've let her down?
Yeah. I hope whatever I accomplish here might make up for it, though.
My mother and I had our ups and downs throughout my life, too. As daughters get older, we understand our mothers better.
Any chance our mothers understand us better with age, too?
She'll come around to the weaving, if that's what you're worried about. She loves you, after all.
She does. I know that much. Kaz, you know you can talk to us about what's going on, right?
Nothing's going on. I'm fine, I promise.
You don't seem fine, though.
It's just, no one seems to understand how important the Ashpeak Drake skills are, and bad things are going to happen if we don't... You know what? I just can't talk about this right now. I'm sorry.
Good news. It was tough going, but I managed to convince Madame Silverbeak to take you under her wing.
Madame Silverbeak. Wins. I'll wear my good socks. I've coordinated lots of operations from Cassidon's hold, but I never had much formal training. More self-taught. A chance to learn from someone with decades of experience is an incredible opportunity. I'll be there with you then, when you get close to the nests. They're in the Bastion's yard and Envoy's Landing in Upper Denevron.
Bryn, I have to say, I'm a little concerned about you.
Me? Why's that?
I don't think you know what you're getting yourself into with the Enclave Council. You're not just helping them, you're diving headfirst into their political affairs.
Lane, if I can fight an Archon 10 times my size, I can handle a little bureaucracy.
That's exactly my point. I was raised in the midst of political schemes and intrigue. There's always something unsaid or underhanded at play beneath the surface. Just be careful. That's all.
You won't find Oria's father running amid statues, you know? What do you mean?
You know what's most likely to get in the way of tracking down one's lineage? Family. A scholar wants to trace a family line to find connections between key historical figures? No problem. A living relative wants to find their great-grandfather using some oh-so-precious family heirloom? What a headache.
Why?
A scholar is objective. They have no emotional attachment to the family line, no sense of self wrapped up in the results of their study.
And you're saying Oria does?
I'm saying she needs to expand her search beyond Weaver heroes. She's not searching for family there, she's seeking identity. And without objectivity, her search will turn up nothing.
Oria did jump into this with preconceived ideas about who her father is. I can see how that might cause problems.
It most certainly will if she doesn't come around to the idea that her father may not live up to her expectations.
I'll keep that in mind.
Food for thought, at least. One of the greatest tragedies of the Surge is the loss of stories. The Enclave might not be that old, but with so many dead to the Surgeborn, their memories most certainly died with them.
I can understand that.
Oh?
My parents' generation tend to stay quiet around the fire. Whatever stories Khanhanders had were beaten out of us by public lashings and prison camps. And we haven't had time since independence to start telling new ones.
Ah, yes. Bryn of Carnhaven. I almost forgot.
Wait, like what Dom called me? You were listening?
I always am. Habit-born of a Udean upbringing, I suppose. But, yes. I suppose the similarities are there, aren't they? A population whittled down by catastrophe. Stories lost. Did you ever have the urge to press a little harder? To try and learn just one or two stories? Even if it was painful for the person telling them?
Honestly, in that case, I'm happy to let the past lie. If I didn't want to look forward, I wouldn't have left to join Aaron's Weaver Band. And I wouldn't have ended up here. So I'm here to live new stories, not to dwell on the past.
I understand the drive. But do you think perhaps you might have been running from the grief too? Not to make assumptions, but it can't have been easy growing up in a culture steeped in such loss.
There's joy in freedom. And even though that's what independence promised, I didn't feel like I had that at home.
I understand. The physical chains are gone, but the mental binds remain. Perhaps our presence can help the denizens of the Enclave avoid the same trap.
I hope so.
I took a break from work earlier to watch you on the scry. The way you take down those giant beasts, it's breathtaking. Poetry in motion, even. If you weren't already journaling your exploits, I'd be dedicating page upon page to them.
I don't get to see myself from the outside very often.
Alas, if only I were an accomplished artist.
Too bad. I want to see what I look like when I'm exploring places that haven't been seen for decades.
Even without pictorial aids, you look brave, confident, powerful, ready for anything.
You had those adjectives ready to roll. Been watching me a lot.
Yes, it's what naturally came to mind, promise. Words are more my specialty, as I said.
It's safe to say Casmin hasn't been acting like herself. She's always been tightly wound, but this is something else.
Bryn, she seems more open with you than most. Can you describe in detail what's abnormal about her behavior?
She's begging me for more supplies, even though the caravan is chock full.
Not that we could tell, because she's covered it up.
More than that, she just seems distressed. She's always talking about worst-case scenarios, and lately it's like she's convinced we're all going to die.
I have heard rumors of abnormal behavior developing in Kashar that could be linked to this.
What kind of rumors?
In polytheistic beliefs that are pervasive in the southern part of the Maida, there is an affliction known as Ira's Plague. The sufferer is haunted by twisted visions of death and pain. The goddess of justice, Ira, won't allow the sufferer inner peace until they repent through scrupulosity.
Scrupulosity? What is that exactly?
Oh, my apologies. I forget most people don't follow Udean eschatological study. Scrupulosity can be best described as a series of repetitive acts that one is compelled to do. For example, if Casmin is plagued by relentless images of our band dying from exposure,
she might send our point out over and over again to retrieve supplies.
Yes, in order to dispel the horrific visions.
Are you seriously suggesting Casmin is, what, possessed?
Of course not. I'm confident that this is merely a stigmatized phenomenon that could not be explained through facts or science. So the populace explained it through religious folly instead.
Any ideas what facts could explain it?
Not yet.
I didn't realize Casmin was spiritual. Is she really trying to hide these visions from us?
Though not devout herself, Casmin grew up with a strict Ashar mother.
You're right, she did.
It's possible Casmin's affliction was a point of shame or contention between them. Perhaps she fears rejection if she shares her experience with us.
Kashar. What does Ira's plague have to do with them?
While most see Kashar as a celebrated merging of the two cultures, some fringe sects disagree. They believe the wider lineage simply leads to more ancestral sin that must be atoned, and thus only Kashar can be afflicted.
Really? Where do you land?
The concept of impure lineage is clearly hogwash, but I suspect the affliction could somehow correlate to the Kashar's unique physiology.
All right. Casmin is suffering. We need to do something about it.
And preemptively? No exorcisms?
As I said, this is likely nothing more than a condition that has been stigmatized by religion. A scientific explanation must exist, and thankfully, we are in the heart of progressive thinking.
You think the Enclave could have done research on this?
Makes sense. Where should I start looking?
The steps in the upper city is where I'd start. Between the main building of the spire and the atrium used to stand a school for alchemists. From your explorations, the surge hit that area pretty hard, but some of the building may still be standing.
Great. What am I looking for?
Maybe the name of someone who suffered like Casmin, or a healer who treated the condition. If you find someone like that, you'll want to search the areas of the city where they spent time. Ira's plague is wildly misunderstood across the Maida. If we could find a treatment, it could help more than Casmin.
You're right. I'll start with the steps, then expand my search.
Remember, Bryn, the spindle needs you to harvest a resonance from one of these massive arcs.
You're getting close now. Watch for the flames. You'll need to freeze the hives. They're spongy and resistant to damage unless you can make them brittle.
That's more like it. Work with the scribe.
this will be enough to dispel her nerves.
Only one way to find out.
Collapsed tunnel. Judging from the size, it could have been a route for Archons.
A resonance. Freshly pulled from an Ark's pattern, as requested.
By the flames! You can't be serious! This is incredible!
You know, great Archons weren't built with patterns. They formed. This will propel my research faster than...
What is this about?
Nothing.
Is that so? Then why is this rogue point harvesting Archons for you?
Khan Stanild. Isla is the spindle. Patterns are directly tied to her domain when you hear what she hopes to achieve with the Arks.
I'm well aware of my daughter's ambitions, newcomer, and I have given express orders that she is not to pursue them.
Daughter?
The reason you didn't want me studying active arcs was because it was too dangerous to harvest one. But Bryn offered to do it for me. None of our people were put at risk.
The reason I didn't want you researching arcs is because I ordered you not to. Not as your father, but as the leader of the Enclave. This insolence and disrespect will not be tolerated. You will drop this obsession at once, Isla. For good.
Hey, are you...
I can't be seen speaking to you about this subject anymore. I'm sorry.
But...
I need to get back to work. Goodbye.
Arakim, we will be having a discussion to clarify the meaning of...
Oria's father is unlikely to be a Casil woman. Besides, when it comes to nurturing parental figures, Ramanos's shrewd eye for politics isn't what comes to mind.
I really can't discuss the arcs with you. Not here.
Don't worry. I understand. I just didn't realize that Khan Stanild is your father.
Admittedly, I wasn't the most forthcoming about that.
Why hide the fact that the Eye is your father?
No. Everyone knows. That's kind of the problem. My father has been in power a long time. And obviously, being his daughter has come with its privileges. But I can't ignore the whispers that I haven't truly earned my role. And at times, I worry they're right.
So, when you had the opportunity to work with us on your own terms...
I took it. I'm sorry. This probably looks bad.
Are you all right after that argument?
He's been on edge lately.
Since our band arrived.
That didn't help, but our relationship hasn't been great since I became the Spindle. At first, he was thrilled when I was elected, but... You're just not seeing him at his best right now. Please, don't judge him too harshly.
I'll try not to. But you didn't answer my question. Are you all right?
I'm fine.
I know we're not supposed to talk about the A word. But they're your passion. Why is your father so against you pursuing your research?
He says they're dangerous.
Right. But so are a lot of things in the Enclave.
I never knew my mother. I was born just before the retreat to Cassidon's Hold. When my research touched a nerve, he finally told me that she had died in an arc attack on the upper city. He wants me to steer clear of them, but he just doesn't see their potential. Yet.
You said he's not at his best. What does a good day look like for him?
I know it's hard to see it, but he is an amazing father. My childhood was wonderful. Growing up in Cassidon's Hold wasn't easy, but he made it fun. no matter how intense his job became, he made time for me. Playing dress up, reading to me before bed, or, as I got older, teaching me the basics of weaving and enchanting. He was my best friend and confidant. I could always tell him anything.
Do you still tell him everything, even now?
A lot has changed. But I have to believe he's still the same father I grew up with.
Just know that when it comes to our Weaver Band, we believe that our contributions are what defines us.
That's comforting. For what it's worth, I did enjoy working with you. But that's in the past. I should get back to my duties.
Bryn? Hi, Zola. Everything okay?
Oh, yes. Welcome back. It's good to see you safe. Could we talk when you have a moment?
Of course.
Sounds like you've got yourself entangled in a family drama.
Without realizing it, yes.
I feel for Isla. Growing up with a successful parent can be difficult, even in the best of circumstances. And I certainly had the best of circumstances with my mother. Still, it was a lot to live up to.
I'm trying to help her, however I can.
Careful. No one knows the extent of a family's affairs except those inside it. You might be stumbling into something bigger than you realize.
Arik, you don't think you could have mentioned that the spindle is the Eye's daughter?
That's her business to share.
Yes, but it would have been nice to know I was helping his daughter rebel against him.
Instead of helping his unrelated colleague undermine him.
Wow. Mean. But fair.
Your intervention definitely had an impact, though. A number of enchanters immediately started pushing for more. More expeditions, more studies of the Surgeborn, you name it. That's the kind of pressure the Eye was hoping to avoid. But I think him blowing up was a misstep. If I had to guess, that Axel started the rumors.
Do you think that's what Isla wanted?
No. She just wants to keep her head down and not have people focus on the Eye-father thing. And frankly, I get it. If Khan Staneld were my dad, I'd take it to the grave.
Okay. But if I'm walking into any more deadfalls, a heads up would be nice.
I promise. Unless it's someone's private business.
When we first met at the harness, you were very brusque.
All of you.
And so on. How come?
Snap decision. I was there to warn you and suddenly my earpiece activated. Someone was watching me on the scry.
You think it was the Eye?
I do. He'd made some comments about previous off-the-books expeditions I'd done. Such as the one where I slipped your band a warning about the flood. So, I kept up the front as best I could.
Do you need to sneak around him a lot?
To get things done, I often have to cut through all the rules and limitations. For example, your help is making things happen. The Eye's planning something, but no one's telling me what. I'm not sure the Spindle or the Axle even know. I'd guess we're all going to be handed orders and expected to deliver on a moment's notice. The Eye always claims he's protecting the people by sharing on a need-to-know basis. What do you make of it?
Everyone works better when we're aware of the challenges ahead. I couldn't do what I do if Dom refused to tell me how my mantle works, for instance.
No limits then? Just share everything we know.
Ideally. If more Weavers had shared what they knew before the Surge, we wouldn't have been set back by decades.
And some of you might have been able to make it past the Veil sooner if you'd had any idea how it worked. You've given me a lot to think about. I should get back to looking over these reports, though. Sounds like your work with Isla was a smash success.
Not exactly. She seems less willing to talk to us than ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so sure of that. She sent me here with a secret message, after all.
She did? What about?
Isla wants you to go to the Archon's Hearth. It needs to be at night, though. She'll sneak away from Cassidon's hold to guide you on the scry here. She wants you to collect Archon parts that may be hard to spot without her help.
I don't think I've been to the Archon's Hearth yet. Where is it exactly?
You've been pretty close to it.
I have?
Wow. You've forgotten our introduction so fast.
I take it that's where the cavern near the harness leads.
Correct.
So what is it exactly?
The Archon's Hearth is where all arcs were created. We lost control of it almost immediately after the Surgeborn appeared. Not that we had much use for it. The Surge hit it hard, and most of the Weavers who knew how to build arcs died as a result. But all the materials to build arcs are still there. Hence, the Spindle wants you to go.
What parts does Isla want me to collect?
There'll be 3 what's-its, 4 who's-its, and maybe a thingy or 2?
For a guy delivering secret messages, you're not really a detailed note-taker, are you?
I glazed over when she started listing the parts, and, well, we decided her sneaking out to guide you on your scry was the best course of action. Besides, even if we knew what the parts were called, there's a lot of junk down in the Archon's Hearth. It wouldn't be easy to spot on your own.
The Eye, well, her father, was livid when I brought her the resonance. Couldn't Isla get in trouble for sneaking out?
I know. Oh, she's never been cooler. But yes, she could absolutely get in trouble for this. We should make it a quick trip.
Got it. I appreciate you being the middleman, Eric. Sounds like I'd better get to the Archon's Hearth.
Enjoy the trip. I hear it's toasty when you get deeper in. It is basically a giant forge for arcs, after all.
You wanted to talk?
Mm-hmm. Can you walk with me?
Why all the mystery, Milady Smith?
In a word, I'm worried.
About?
Sev, he's been acting strangely. Has been since we met the Hearthsiders at the hold. He's going there a lot in off hours, and he honestly looks a little exhausted. Dom, of course, stays up later than us and says he's often slipping away.
Have you asked Sev what's wrong?
I have, and he waves it off every time.
Right. What do we do about it?
Sev has completely cut me off. But you know how I tease Lane for watching us all the time? Maybe that will pay off here. I hate this cloak and dagger stuff.
You do? You seem pretty good at it.
Talk to Lane for me. I'm sure they've seen what Sev is doing, but maybe they also have a guess at why he's acting so odd. Okay, let's go back before anyone gets nosy. And if Sev asks, Blood Moon cycle. Not sure if Ram blush, but he sure does.
Got it.
We need to talk about Sev.
Wait, you know why I'm here?
I'm a keen observer, and you have no Pangel face. Also, Solar has many strengths, but subtlety is not one of them. Sev, however, is somewhat more adept at hiding things. He's been moving back and forth between here and the hold quite regularly. Let me ask you something. Did you notice anything odd when you were at the hold?
There was a moment when Sev approached the Eye to speak alone.
Ah. That confirms my suspicion, then. Have you noticed that Sev and the Eye wear a similar symbol?
I had not.
The symbol looks to be a stylized... well, I'm not sure, but I think it's something akin to a water wheel. I don't recognize it myself, but given the Eye is wearing it, the Enclave might have some record of that particular symbol.
The archives in the Spire might have something, though I'd rather just ask Sev.
Given his secrecy about this whole affair, I can't imagine he will be forthcoming.
Good point. And yet... Either way, time for a little investigation. Hey, big guy. Everything okay?
Yes, mostly. I was wondering if you had a moment sometime. I might need your help.
Sev, we're all a team. Whatever you need, we'll handle it, okay? Just make sure you tell me everything.
Thank you, Bryn. I'll be at my usual place.
You know, I've been curious about something.
Oh, I know this one. A soft cloth and some ergon seed oil.
I'm sorry, what?
You... weren't asking about tusk care? Everyone eventually asks.
Spirits, no. But that's intriguing. I was wondering about that symbol you wear. With the wheel?
Oh, that... That's just... a family heirloom. Of sorts. Thought it looked nice, is all.
Just... thought it looked nice.
I'm so sorry, Bryn. Just remembered, I have to move some things for Aurea. Maybe another time.
You said you needed some help, Sev? What's up?
Have I ever told you how I envy your clarity, Bryn?
How so?
Maybe I'm just romanticizing it, but... you seem like someone who's always known what you wanted to do. To be.
I was born in the tail years of a liberation war, Sev. It never made sense to me that I couldn't be anything I wanted. So I just decided.
I wish making decisions came so simply to me. Perhaps you can give me pointers when the time comes. Anyway, I've been working on a side project to help the Hearthsiders, and I'm having trouble sourcing some rarer components.
What are you working on?
I can't say much. But I can tell you it's a project authorized by the Eye himself.
That revelation would carry more weight if he weren't an ass.
I know he can be abrasive, but he's got a plan. Says he's been working on it for years.
Do the Axel or Spindle know about this plan?
I'm honestly not sure. I don't think they have details, no.
But you do?
He's sworn me to secrecy. But I promise you, Bryn, it's nothing against us.
You're sure?
I know I come off as a pushover. But I know when to hold my ground. And would never harm this group, Bryn, I swear on my tusks.
If the Hearthsiders are asking for your help, can't they provide what you need?
The survivors are strapped. Their supplies have been dwindling for years now. I'm sure before the Surge they would have had rare materials in reserve. But those days are over. So... I have to ask for your help.
I'm game, but I want you to know I have reservations. The Eye hasn't exactly been helpful to us.
I completely understand. I'm probably crossing some lines, but I'm glad you're hearing me out. I've put together a schematic and I'll leave it with Solar. The majority of the asks are reasonably mundane. It's just...
Oh no.
well, I need some particular secretions from a glass tail.
Why is it never onions? You know, small, green, distinct lack of talons. Never flash freeze you into an icy prison, though I suppose both can make you cry. I'm kidding, Sev. I'll see what I can do.
When's the last time anyone saw her sleep?
It's been weeks.
Is that normal for a Kashar?
No.
I'm proud of this one. This one strikes a good balance.